Kenny Albert and Ala Abdel Nabi joining us. So, Ken, you were at the Sochi. What a weird, I mean, look, what's going on over there, right from the Olympics into this Ukraine situation and Putin and blah, 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 blah. First of all, you know, we were joking when you were on the phone, but how were the accommodations that you saw, not just for you, but how you saw for other people?
I have to admit, Artie, and I'm being serious, everything was great for us and for most of the people I worked with. You know, I heard all the reports about some of the other hotels and the accommodations, but it really could not have been better.
Really?
It was
I mean,
great.
did you see other people having issues?
I mean, I heard about it, you know,
just hearing about it,
in
like
the
we
media
did
and
via
Twitter, but where we were and where a lot of the other NBC folks were top-notch. I had no shower curtain. That was my one complaint.
Really?
No shower curtain.
Wow.
That's an avant-garde now. A lot of hotels have that.
So when I have no shower curtain, that's really the maid getting a treat.
I feel like,
the floor got wet outside the shower, and one day, cold water. No hot water in the shower.
That was brutal, though.
But I will say the most unique thing that I saw, now they told us don't step on manhole covers. They could be loose. We did see some areas where steps or railing may have been missing because they built a lot of this stuff late, leading up to the Olympics. But
that's kind of major when you think about it, though.
At one of the hockey arenas, the second hockey arena where most of the women's games were played and some of the men's games, in the press area, in the media area, men's room, and I heard it was the same in the women's room, there were two stalls. And if you were on one of the stalls and looked up, the ceiling was mirrored.
Oh, wow.
It was bizarre.
That's hot.
You could see into the other stall.
Nice.
So they didn't have time to fasten the manhole covers and build some elevators, but they were able to put mirrors up on the ceiling.
Right.
Just where you want them.
You know, there was some speculation, was there a camera above those mirrors?
Well, I would assume. Yeah. Putin just enjoying himself. I like watching the swimmers take crap.
Now, Putin actually, he showed up at some of the games. I didn't see him personally, but someone I know ran into him at the press village, and at a McDonald's, actually, and they said they had a 30-second conversation with him in English.
Really? Huh. I probably don't see. I don't trust him.
Come on, he's got to talk to his bankers in London. He speaks English.
But the mirrored ceilings, that was the one thing that I took out of.
Yeah, I want to watch the divers move their balls. Make this happen. Yeah, well, listen.
But everything else was great.
And this is where the women's events are going on. You know, he doesn't respect that. He goes, "Who cares about the women's events?"
Not sure if you showed up at the women's hockey.
Did you feel safe when you were there? I had buddies of mine from the media prior to them going over there, you know, voicing a few concerns about, you know, just the overall security because it was such a targeted place.
I know.
Did you feel safe when you were there?
Before heading over, we heard all the reports, and of course, you're a little skeptical heading to another country, but then we started to hear as it got closer that this would probably be the safest place in the world, and I think it was. The only time that I
well, you got all those women hockey players protecting you.
Good exactly. The only time, the one time that we weren't sure what was going on, it was the Tuesday prior to the opening ceremonies, and we were at the hotel eating dinner at a restaurant right near the hotel, and we heard what sounded like a couple of explosions. It turns out it was the rehearsal for the opening ceremonies, the fireworks. So after about 10 seconds, we figured out what it was. That was really the only time for about 10 seconds, and then we realized what was going on.
It is weird. You make a good point that there's no railings in places, but there's mirrors installed. They took the time to do that.
On the ceiling.
Priorities. Priorities.
Screw the railings. I want mirror. It had to be for cameras. You know, they're doing surveillance.
Wouldn't be surprised.
They're doing surveillance.
Because you're always passing, you know, I guess covert anti-government notes underneath the toilet seats. Right? You know what I mean?
But I'll have to the hospitality.
Nip that in the bud.
But the hospitality was great. They could not have been nicer. Security was good. Hotel, food, everything. So
did you get to know any of the athletes through the process?
You know, unlike in the U.S. when we cover whether it's football, hockey, college basketball, and you have pretty good access, the access is limited at the Olympics, but before the hockey games, we would be able to speak to players and coaches, but again, the access isn't the same. So you get to know some of the ex-athletes who wind up working on the TV side.
Did you get to shave with any of the female hockey players?
I can't remember.
Did you meet Edward Snowden?
I did not. I was looking for him in the airport in Moscow.
Stay away from that guy. Well, I don't know. What do you think Putin's up to? I know you're not a political guy. What do you think he's up to?
He's a big hockey fan. I know he was at the game. But here's another one for you, actually, as the memories start coming back. On the main hockey arena, it was a beautiful building. And when the games were played all day, noon, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock, the night games, they would put up the final score in lights on top of the building. It was really, we would all take pictures of it. They would have the flag of the countries that played and then the final score. But it was funny. When Russia lost, the score was not placed on top of the arena
I know.
in lights.
I could imagine.
Not sure exactly why.
And those athletes were marched off to death
Someone
camps.
pulled the cord.
You lost. You died.
Off with your head.
I mean, I don't know. He's a guy, clearly we're joking around, but we're not.
Dude, he used to run the KGB.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, what kind of slithery, slimy person do you think he is?
I'm telling you one thing,
he's
he's scary. He is
Dude, that's a land grab that he's doing over there because right in between Crimea and Russia are all the Ukrainian pipelines that he wants access to, and there's no way that he's going to give that up.
Right,
There's no way.
it's exactly what it is. It's a land grab. Pretty much.
Is that the feeling over there? And generally speaking?
Well, it wasn't really going down when you were there.
I
was it?
heard
It was
he's
right-
coming on the show a week from Tuesday.
Putin. Right. He's our big guest. Coming up, Putin. We're the only show he's agreed to do. Listen, that would be a good interview. But no, I think Allah's right. I mean, let's call it what it is. I mean, the guy's a gangster.
The whole country's run by gangsters.
Well, now it is. That wall came down, and what happens? You give access to the people.
If you were related to the army, you got paid.
Right.
Plain and simple. If your uncle was a general, you had access to either the electricity, the coal, the oil. There are guys that went from having nothing.
There you go.
There's some Russian rubles.
Is that a ruble?
1,000 rubles.
Now, what does buy me? A stick of gum?
Wow, 1,000?
What is this?
What do you think that's worth?
A buck?
1,000 rubles? What's that, like, what, $6?
10 bucks?
35 bucks.
Okay.
35 bucks?
35.
Wow, that's interesting. I'll tell you, nothing is more. There's nothing you have less respect for than Canadian money. There's literally a picture of like a goose on it. It's like a goose and like a rhino.
Well, when you ever go to any country, it's always funny money, right? It just looks like
seems
funny
like-
money.
Was there ever a time that the ruble was like a 1-to-1 trade with the dollar? Was there like during the Cold War?
I don't think so.
I don't think
so.
Was it close? I mean, closer than.
I don't think it was ever. I think rubles were never really.
I think they've always been. I think they've always
Yeah.
struggled to feed and clothe their
Well,
people.
now there's foreign currency that's worth way more.
Were
than the
you
American.
tempted? I don't know if this is still the case. Remember the stories where you, if you take Levi's over to Russia, you could sell them for
Sure.
a home.
But that's
Were you tempted to?
It's a little
to take some
embarrassing,
Levi's?
but you have to sell it. But you can, I think.
Yeah.
No, that never really crossed my
Kenny
mind.
makes
but
decent money. Kenny makes decent money. He doesn't need to have a business on the side.
I have heard stories, though. I have heard stories, guys, about when Russian hockey teams would come over to North America in the 70s, and they would be given this brand new hockey equipment by some of the families they were staying with.
Yeah.
These are teenagers who would come over with their teams to play in the U.S. or Canada. And as soon as they got back to Russia, some of the adults and coaches would take that brand new equipment and sell it, though. Once they got back home.
It's good stuff. Yeah. That's real good stuff.
I can't believe I didn't think of that, John. Selling my Levi's.
Sounds like you can make
Would
a
have
good.
been
If you're a mirror installer, it sounds like you make good money. What do? They just tear down that whole village now? Is it all just expendable?
Actually, it's a resort town, as you probably heard. Sochi.
Holiday Inn.
Yeah, that's where I'm booking.
Is it true
That's
that
where I'm
it's
booking
the
my next
warmest?
resort.
It's the Motel 6.
Is it true that it's the warmest city in
It was
Russia?
60 degrees for about a week.
It's a beach
While we were
town,
over
right?
there,
It's a beach town.
I went in the Black Sea.
There you go.
Yeah.
The Black Sea
Now,
was
what was that
cold was
like?
the
It was
water?
cold.
Yeah.
It was cold.
Yeah.
Why'd you do that? Just as a story?
Just to say I did.
Yeah,
Just to say
Okay.
I did.
Was it cold like San Francisco waters would be?
It was
Like
pretty
about
cold.
50?
It was cold. It was right behind the hotel. There was a boardwalk, and if you went down about 2 miles, you actually hit the Georgia border. You would hit another country.
Wow. Oh,
I didn't go
man.
that far.
What kind of retreat?
That's good.
What kind of retreat do your nuts do when you go to the Black Sea?
I only went ankle high.
Okay,
high.
well you weren't in that.
They retreat high.
But I was ankle high. But there's no sand on the beach. It's all rocks and pebbles. So
Awesome.
There's no sand
to
on the
walk.
beach.
no sand. It was hard to walk on. But where was I going before we mentioned the Black Sea?
You was talking about the selling the equipment, the Levi's,
the equipment, the hockey players, Georgia. Lost my train of thought. Oh, the Olympic Park. So apparently, two of the arenas, one of the hockey arenas and one of the figure skating arenas, they built in a way so that following the Olympics, they could actually lift them up.
What do you mean lift them up?
And transport the entire arena to a different city.
You're kidding. But I don't trust that. What about trust? You trust that structure?
No.
Right.
They didn't get it right the first time. Who's going to say they're going to get it right twice?
But it
They did get it right.
All of the hockey and figure skating and curling, it was in this one park. So once you entered the park, there were so many events going on.
Did you see live curling?
I did. I went one day.
How'd that go?
I had no idea what I was watching.
Well,
no idea.
My buddy Jason Knapp, who calls games with me at CBS, he was doing the curling for us.
Really? He
was?
Yeah, he was doing the
That's
curling.
Was there enthusiasm contagious?
Well, there were 4 matches, I guess.
That's
Are they
hard
called
to make exciting.
There were 4 going on simultaneously.
Yeah.
But with so many hockey games, I had 18 games in 13 days, no days off, so we were obviously very busy. 3 games one day.
That's hard to
2
make
games
exciting.
other days.
Curling.
So, but I went over there. I wanted to go over and see curling one day. Went for like 20 minutes and had no clue.
Yeah.
Kenny Albert,
Looked like fun.
Kenny Albert.
Shuffleboard on ice.
Pretty much. Al Abdelnaby and Kenny Albert back in.
The Artie Lange Show, weeknights on Audience, only on DirecTV.